Right, let's move on to another one in Sandro Tonali, a player that we both really like, who's on the brink of going to Newcastle for £80 million, which is a lot of money. Again, I think there's bonuses in there. It would be the most expensive Italian player of all time. It would be certainly for Newcastle the most expensive transfer that they've ever made, more than Alexander Isak last season. Where do you stand on Tonali? I have to be honest here. I thought Bruno Guimaraes was an amazing player for Newcastle, maybe their best player. And I will have to see where Tonali plays and how much that impacts on where Bruno plays. And I think Bruno can play a little bit higher up because he's so creative. He can almost play as a 10 if you want, with a bit of freedom. And Tonali is the deep lying playmaker in that team. But I would be very excited to see the Tonali-Bruno partnership in there. Where do you stand on the Tonali to Newcastle move? And do you think it's a really good move? Like a lot of people seem to think, and I think I agree. I think it's an amazing signing.
I think it's a really good player. I think it has the potential to be a really good move. But it feels like there'll be a fundamental change in my mind in terms of how Newcastle play to have Guimaraes and Tonali in the team at the same time. But then you look in, well, how can they make that next step forward? You know, bring in a full Italian international. That's definitely a way to do it. But what's the expense? Is it Longstaff that goes? Is it Joe Linton that goes? Is it Willock that goes? I'm not sure. Did he play in the same way, or is the manager Howe in a position whereby he knows he has to change something for the next year anyway? Especially given the fact that they're in the Champions League. So there's potential for it. I think he's a really good footballer. I think he could form a really good partnership with Guimaraes in there. But how does it affect everything else around it? Like, I'd be confident of those two playing as like 6/8s as such. Are they going to play in a 4-3-3 anymore? Yeah. You know what I mean? Is there a tweak? Are they going to go for... Because I could see that working in almost like a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. But then who's the number 10 that they don't have? Yeah. I can't think who'd be the roaming 10 in that sort of position. Yeah, in the squad right now, I don't think they really have that kind of profile. So maybe that's going to be the next sort of move for them. Or maybe, would they go Isak and Wilson through the middle? The 4-4-2. And then you have Tonali and Bruno, and then two wide players, and then Wilson and Isak. He definitely gives them options. I can't see the vision that clearly right now, but I think he's a player that will definitely suit how they would want to play in the season. They're going to have this one coming up with the Champions League, and then pushing to try and win something. So I like it. It's a heavy fee for a player that most people haven't seen play before in England. So the pressure will be on as such. Yeah. But I think as long as they continue with the recruitment whereby the players that they bring in understand what it is to play in Newcastle, to play for Newcastle, and to be part of their journey, I think Tonali will be great. And I hope that he does. And he doesn't just see it as like a move to the Premier League. No, and I think from a Milan fan himself, to have played for Milan. So for the people who don't know, he was a prodigal kid? Is that what you said? Prodigal talent. Prodigal talent. When he was younger at Brescia, he was this new Pirlo, although he's slightly different. I think he does more running than Pirlo ever did before. And Milan was his club. He ended up playing for them. I think he would be quite sad to leave. He understands that in terms of business, Milan have to sell, and that it would be a great for the club for him to make that move and bring all that money to his club. So, but I think that the relationship that he has with Milan, okay, he's not a Newcastle fan. However, he would understand what it means to play for Newcastle, like he felt how much it meant to play for Milan in a way. Yeah. So on that, I don't have any doubts. I don't have much doubt. I think he's a tough kid. Yeah. Who's starting playing at 16 with the first team in Italy. So I think he will. I don't have any worries about him adapting to England, to the Premier League, to Newcastle. I think he's one of those kind of like, you know, who won't be too precious about going somewhere else. Oh, the weather is different, the language, this and that. Okay. I think he'd be ready for that. But it's more like you said on the pitch, how this is going to work. But again, I see it in a way of, is he an improvement of what they had in midfield? 100%, like 100%. Yep. You know, is the different profile to Willock or Joe Linton. He's more of a John Joe Shelby, but like the luxurious version. Yeah. And with hair. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. You've improved your squad. Let's see what else you do in other positions. I'll tell you what's funny as well. Maybe him playing will be at the expense of Longstaff as well. Yeah. Yeah. So when football clubs change, and I could be completely wrong here, this might be an ice cold take, and if it is, please tweet Julien. Don't tweet me. When teams go through these big changes, there's a point whereby they want someone to represent them on the field, and that's what Longstaff is. Yeah. But when you look at positions that you believe Newcastle need to change, it looks like maybe Longstaff's out, and the other position will be a left back. which is Dan Burn,
Yeah.
the other guy from the northeast.
Yeah. True.
And it's funny
Born
how
and
quickly
bred.
things can
Yeah.
change once the expectation within a football club starts to rise.
Yeah.
You know, because how many people are going to be upset that Tonali's come because it means that Longstaff might play less? The
Yeah,
answer's not
that's
going to
very
be,
true.
it's not going to be many. But as I say, I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to
it's
seeing
a
him
good
doing it.
point.
And I hope he does
think
well.
it's the right balance to find, right, for any squad.
Yeah.
Of like the local talents or the one from your own ones,
Yeah.
whether they're from your academy or not, or they came later like Dan
Yeah.
Burn, and the talent that you can bring.
But then also the other side of it, they love Guimaraes because he's obviously a very good player, but there's got a sense like he feels what it is to play for the team. If
sure.
Tonali can do that, then that'll be like, whether he plays well or he doesn't, if they feel he's connected to the fans and to the city, that's in some ways a greater success than say you pass completion any given season, because people remember and long for you because you're fully committed to what they're trying to do.
And I think as an Italian, like we said, I think he will have that in him, you know, that kind of relationship with the fans.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.